Hey you guys, it's Jake with Trickfish, and today I am lucky to get a shop tour and to do an interview with the one and only Jake Serek of Serek Basses. I've been looking forward to sitting down with Jake and picking his brain for a while, so I hope you guys enjoy this conversation.
Hey folks, welcome to rainy Transylvania County. Welcome to the bass barn here in Pisgah Forest. Excuse the mess, been doing a little bit of fence work lately. Come on in and I'll show you the shop. All right, so where we are standing right now, this used to be a horse barn, right? So these two sort of areas were stalls. There was a wall coming across here, and then this whole wall on this side did not exist. So this was all open, dirt floor. A couple of horsies lived in here. But when we first saw this place, I was like, I think I could turn this into something. So we got a local contractor to help kind of frame everything out and build a floor. And then I went ahead and kind of finished off the inside, insulation, all that good stuff. But down here on the first floor is sort of just the wood shop, just your run-of-the-mill, you know, all the heavy equipment, all the dusty stuff. This is kind of the dirty area. So a big part of the operation is the CNC machine, of course. This is my faithful second employee. I use this quite a bit for cutting everything from bodies and necks to pick guards and pick up flat work and all that good stuff. And then kind of working our way around clockwise. This is like sanding zone here. Got a little exhaust fan to pull fine dust, you know, wood dust out, so it's not going into my lungs. I spend a lot of time, you know, standing and sanding right here.
Nice looking necks on the wall.
Yeah, one of these is yours. I believe it's this one right here, which we'll get some hands on later. But nice roasted maple, freshly carved. Still only sanded up to 120 grit, but we'll get that nice and silky soon. Oh, and while we're over here, got to give a shout out to Sue Serek, my mother, the artist. After Hurricane Helene dropped a couple of trees on the barn, my mother found some inspiration and made this wonderful piece to commemorate the and commiserate. So that's a fun reminder of that time. What else? Yeah, otherwise, you know, bandsaw, planer, joiner, drum sander, table saw, all just your sort of like rough cut. You know, I kind of visualize like the whole operation is taking large chunks of wood and slowly whittling them down and finishing them into smaller pieces for the finished product. So I start with like raw billets of lumber and then use all these various machines just to sort of shape and dimension and get them down closer to a size that is more reasonable and will create less waste. So like, for example, this is a neck blank. So this might have started as a 8-foot long, 12-foot wide piece of African mahogany that I cut crosswise and ripped into strips and glued up into neck blanks. I always like to do at least 2-piece for stability, you know, flip them and everything for as quarter sawn of grain as possible, all that good stuff. So yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. Got a couple of drill presses and kind of smaller sanders. That little belt sander over there I use to shape bone nuts and all that kind of stuff. I've got a pole saw for fret slots, although I'm kind of in the middle of switching my fret slotting operations over to the CNC. One of the benefits of that is I'll be able to actually arc the slots with the radius of the fingerboard, which less waste, but also just a little bit more stability because there's a little bit more wood left on the fingerboard.
Oh, because you don't have a flat, straight slot.
Yeah, like that, you know, so I have a compound radius fingerboard, but with that, it just cuts it straight through, and it's a little bit harder to control the depth of the slot, whereas on the machine, I can really control it and get it like, make the slot as shallow as possible, allowing the frets to fit, but still leaving as much material left on the fingerboard, which does make a difference in sort of the stability of the neck at the end of the day.
So you want to show us the wood room?
Yeah. We got the supply room. This used to be a tack room back here. It's also kind of my mechanicals. This is the other, like kind of the main dust collector for the shop, and my compressors back here. And then I try and keep, you know, anywhere from, you know, a few dozen neck blanks and body blanks on hand at any given point. Yeah, some fun fingerboards, and then up here is sort of like any, I don't keep a ton of exotics, but I do like to use zebra wood and koa and, you know, some other, so got some fun like roasted drop tops and things like that, so.
You gonna show us one piece of wood you're excited about right now?
This is something that I haven't had a chance to complete an instrument with yet, but actually that's not true. I made one prototype Lincoln using this. It's called Dibito.
Oh yeah.
I think I was talking to you about this last time you were here. It's kind of like, it's like right in between walnut and African mahogany. Like it's a little bit harder than African mahogany. It's got a little bit like more density to it, but a similar grain structure, a little more open grain, routes really cleanly, but it's got that sort of like cooler brown, obviously not quite as dark as walnut, but not as like reddish orange as the African mahogany, so it kind of sits in between the two. And
it's lighter in weight a little bit?
Yeah, it's like closer to the African mahogany weight-wise. I'm excited about it because some of these, you know, African mahogany obviously comes from Africa, and sometimes imported wood is harder to get. African mahogany is not necessarily endangered or anything like that, but kind of always got to think ahead to like what's the next thing, because it is a very popular wood in this industry and it could be threatened in the near future. So Dibito is sustainable. Not as easy to get right now, but I think it's going to start to kind of like show up a little bit more in the next coming years. Luckily, I mean, I don't know about luckily, but I'm a small builder, so I'm not like, you know, using up as much wood as some of these larger companies, but it's still something that I try and stay really conscious of. And one thing I've been doing lately is every time someone orders a bass from me, 10 trees get planted in their name. There's a company called Tree Nation that has been really good for that. So
that's really
just,
cool, man.
Yeah, trying to think ahead, you know.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So that, that's fun stuff in here. And then we can head upstairs to the clean zone. This used to be a hayloft up here. There was just a ladder coming up here, and it was pretty bare bones. Yep, a couple of old beater shop basses that I try and keep around so people get some idea of what the finished product looks like. And then newest addition is this prefab spray booth, which is, you know, perfect for my needs. This has been, I don't do all of my finish work anymore, but it's really nice to be able to do it if I need to. For one, if I get a bass back from my finisher and I accidentally put a nick in it during setup or something, it's nice to be able to just do the touch up myself, not have to send it back. Yeah, but also if someone wants a custom color and I don't want to have to like talk it out back and forth with my finisher, I can easily mix something up here, do a burst or anything like that. So yeah, nice to be able to have that. I feel very confident in my finishing skills, but it's definitely not my favorite part of the process. You know, it's just it's messy and finicky, and so. But I'm lucky to be able to have that. Oh yeah, there's it's kind of like an ugly gold, but someone wanted a replacement guard. They cracked their Midwestern guard, so.
They were rocking too hard.
Yeah, a little bit. It happens. It happens. And then this is the sort of assembly setup zone back here / just hang out, take a nap on the couch. The dog is usually, you know, asleep on the couch over there. I was winding pickups the last couple weeks. That's not really set up right now, but I've got this little CNC pickup winder over here. So that's nice. Another thing that's nice to have control of is making some of my own electronics. I've got a bass on the bench right now, actually. A pretty fiddly wire job, but I don't know if you've ever seen or had experience with any of these Stumac Freeway switches. No. Have you seen one of these before? So this one is a 6-position switch, so it looks like a standard Les Paul toggle, but it works almost more like a stick shift car. You've got 3 up and 3 down. And so this is a 3 pickup Midwestern 2. So it'll give me 6 positions. You got bridge alone, bridge and neck, neck alone. And then on the downside, we'll have bridge and middle by itself, and then all 3 pickups on. So really fun way and like simple way to have a bunch of different options in sort of like a compact situation.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's that I've actually built quite a few of these recently. I don't know if they're just out there in the ether, but the 3 pickup option has been a popular one. So
That's really cool.
yeah, that's pretty much it. Pick guards and hardware and all that fun stuff. I'm still using hip shot hardware exclusively. I've had a really good relationship with them for a long time.
There's the banjo.
There's the banjo. Yeah, Pisgah, repping them today. Yeah, it's been my little kind of take a break and noodle on that thing.
Here's the pickup winding.
Yeah, kind of yeah. So normally I'll have a spool of wire down here. It's really compact and easy. You just basically throw a spool of wire in front of this machine, feed it through these felt tension pads, and then you've just got 2 motors, one moving the wire side to side, and then this spinning the bobbin. And then I can show you, there's a pretty basic but nice program that allows you to enter the dimensions of the pickup that you have created, and then, you know, what kind of wire you're using, how many winds you want. But if you really want to get into it, there's, where is it? Like a script engine, and you can kind of like program scatter winds and everything into it as well. I personally find scatter winding to be more apparent on guitar pickups, because usually that, like, all of that stuff sort of translates more into like the sparkly detail side of the sound. I feel like it's kind of lost on a bass pickup. I used to hand wind all of the B90s, and I would consider those scatter wound because, of course, I'm not a machine and I'm, you know, spacing out and everything. So they were much more irregular. And I would say that I couldn't perceive a difference in sound between my scatter wound, hand wound B90s and the ones that I do on this machine. So that's my take on it.
Remind me again, how many different sets of pickups do you wind in-house?
Yeah, so there's the single coil B90, the Serek singles, which are also single coils, but just a different size, kind of more of like going for like a Rick high gain type sound. The Lazen B90 humbuckers, and then the 5-string Serek singles. So that's what I got going in-house. And then these days, I'd say second most popular is still probably any of the Curtis Novak stuff. I'm using tons of Bisonics.
That's like the Dark Star vibe?
Yeah, he's been making a lot of like Gibson reproduction stuff, the G3 pickups, the sliding grabber pickup is amazing. I've got a bunch of those coming up next year. Using lots of Nordstrand still. And then, of course, the go-to preamp, Trickfish IPA. Yeah, use quite a bit of those.
Oh, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah. So, which I actually need to call Justin and have him stock me up. There's one other thing I got to show you.
All right.
When you're ready for it.
I'm ready.
I've got something that I'm pretty sure no other bass shop has in it. You might think that this is just your average mini fridge, you know, maybe a couple sparkly waters or something in there, but this is actually going to be my tortoise hibernation zone for the winter.
Man, that is a unique shop.
Yeah, so
Shop feature.
he's not in there right now, but the plan is this weekend. I've got it all cranked down to 40 degrees. I've got an aquarium pumping fresh air, and then I've got his nice little box of dirt in here. So he's gonna go in this little box and burrow himself away, and we will see him in, I don't know, 3-ish months or something like that.
What's his name?
Sir Patrick Stewart. So he's about 10 to 12 years old. There's no super accurate way to age a tortoise, but this will be his first proper brumation since he was a wee one, so I'm excited for that.
Well, I think it's important to point out that this is an area where a lot of shops are slacking is,
Right.
you know, in the tortoise department.
It's true.
You know, you got to really think about, Especially if you want to have, tortoise shell on demand. No.
Playing the long game here.
Hey, man.
What's up, Jake?
What's up, buddy?
How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me out to the shop.
Yeah, always.
I'm excited to be here. I am excited that you live so close to me now.
Yeah, it's been great.
You're new to Western North Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been a little over a year. We moved in like August or so last year, which is crazy that it's only been a little over a year. It's felt like a lot longer with everything that's happened, but...
Right, you moved in and then Hurricane Helene decimated the region and your barn.
A little bit. It was pretty wet in here for a while, but we got it dried out and sealed up. And I don't know. I think the best thing I can say is it just like feels like we belong here.
Yeah.
We've been able to get so entrenched in our local community, but also like you've helped me kind of get into the larger scene in Asheville, and like I'm always impressed when we go to a show together. You seem to know everybody.
Oh man,
kind of like the bass mayor of Asheville.
Thanks, man. Well, I've been doing like the Asheville bass hang thing for a long time, which is cool. So it brings all these players together. I've been here for 20 years, so it feels cool to be like so rooted in one place.
Yeah.
I did not think I would stay in Asheville as long as I've been here. I kind of thought I would sort of hang out here for a couple of years and then move somewhere else. And then 20 years later,
still here.
Couple kids.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm from Boston. I'm like, I have Southern children.
Yeah.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's fun to come out and visit and hang out. I love coming to see you out here, and I just wanted to chat a little bit about the Serek Basses, and they are so unique and they are so different from what everyone else is doing. I just kind of love. I've told you before in these like little love fest conversations about how I so appreciate that there is such a specific vision and everything you do and all the way you present the basses, but also the basses themselves. Everything is so cohesive within that Serek universe that I really appreciate that.
You say specific and vision and things like that, and I would agree that I've had like a vision for where I wanted this thing to go, but at the same time, there's just been lots of happy accidents and things sort of mold themselves as you go. I've always been really open to like customer feedback as well, and that has sort of like pushed the direction that I've gone in various different times. Like there was a time where I was like, I'm never going to build 5-string basses. Like, F that, not my thing. And then had one customer like, come on, just like, I think it was actually Drew Felder was the first guy. I was like, just build me one.
Yeah.
We don't have to tell anybody, just send it to me. And if it's awesome, it's awesome. If it sucks, then, we'll let it go. And then it snowballed from there, just like stuff like that. So I can't take full credit for like, the whole thing. And of course, back in Chicago before I moved, I had wonderful employees who, I was always open to their input and creative, drive as well.
Right. And now you're here by yourself.
Yeah. Lone wolf in it, which like kind of suits my personality a little bit better. I hate to say it. Like I hope I wasn't a bad boss. You guys can let me know. My Atticus and Benny and Zach and Norm, they all, acted like I treated them well, and I tried to. But at the end of the day, it's very like stressful for me to manage personalities and people. And also it was getting to a point where the company was growing, which was good, but it was getting to a point where I was just like the guy who was making sure we had enough parts and answering emails and doing all of the administrative stuff. And some people want to get to that point where they can be more hands off and just let the company, hire people to do the dirty work and just like, do all that kind of like top level stuff or whatever you want to call it. But that's not what where it wasn't feeling good to me in that. I was like, I miss carving the necks and doing that kind of stuff. So I wanted to make sure that I could still be as hands-on as possible. And I just don't buy into the whole like grow, scale thing. I don't, in today's day and age, like I think we have a really good, Western North Carolina has opened me up to like how small business can really thrive. You don't see a lot of that in other parts of the country. But like shopping local is like such a huge thing here. And there's so many really cool business owners who also do a lot of good for the community, but you can only be focused on that level if you like have enough time and brain capacity. And it's like, you know, to do that kind of stuff. If you're just worried about like the bottom line and like putting out as much product as possible, all that other stuff kind of becomes secondary. So that's a long-winded way of saying like I wanted to kind of like plateau in a healthy way as well. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting trend in like in business in general. Like as the thing grows, how do you retain, whether it's the quality, whether it's the vibe, whether it's the, you know, like it becomes harder to maintain these particular things that were so important when you started doing them. And it's particularly true with like craft. Where it's like, it's not just like, oh, we make widgets. Like, how do we make 10 times as many widgets and maintain quality control? It's like, you're making these things by hand. This is like your energy and your vibe going into it. I'm always fascinated with, especially instrument builders, as they, you know, grow. Some of them grow and they get more and more employees. It's like, how does that affect the finished product? You know, you do end up with some of these guys where it's like, oh, this one era of this company was the best because it was just so and so and so and so making them, and now there's 10 guys that have stations, and it's like there's no right or wrong, but it definitely changes the way stuff comes out. There
are times when I wish that I could serve a wider audience and build more instruments, but at the same time I really enjoy, like, kind of going back to the customer feedback loop, I really enjoy the one-on-one conversation I have with most customers. Not some people just know what they want and they're like, please build me this, and the next time I talk to them is when the instrument is done. But most of the time, there's a lot of upfront kind of developmental conversations, and I really enjoy that because it's an opportunity for me to engage with another musician or just somebody in the community. But also, it's an opportunity for me to like learn and maybe get some new ideas from somebody who's like, hey, why don't we try this or that? So that's part of kind of keeping things to where I have the time to actually do all of that.
Yeah, and it kind of highlights the importance of like building relationships. You know, it's not just about selling equipment. It's about like you say, like learning new things, getting to know what people are thinking about or how they're thinking about, you know, what their goals are with the way they make music or whatever. Well, along those lines, like what are some of the things that you're thinking about and excited about these days?
I'm excited about becoming a father.
Something.
By the time our viewers see this, it might have already happened, but that's been obviously top of mind lately. I think so part of the reason I wanted to, my wife and I wanted to move down here too, was just to like slow our lives down a little bit. And again, like it's all about like creating more headspace. And once we have more of that, we can like find our creativity again. Like back in Chicago when we were kind of full steam ahead, it was just like, all right, we're just building the basses that people are ordering, but there wasn't a lot of room for research and development and trying new things. And there really, to be honest, hasn't been in the last year here, just because the storm and just the move and setting up a shop is such an enormous undertaking. But I'm like finally getting to that point where going into next year, I feel like I've got where I can spend like a few hours a week trying something out. I don't know what that is yet. That's the answer, is like I haven't really figured it out, but like I'm starting to feel something kind of bubbling up. Like maybe it's a new body design that I do like a limited run of. Maybe it's I don't know. I don't know yet, but
that's cool. I think that's a theme with musicians too, is like just creating the bandwidth to be available for new ideas. It's so easy to overcommit energetically to where you're just checking things off lists, and that doesn't always or usually promote new ideas to like percolate, because you're just, all that bandwidth is taken up. And I know a lot of guys, and I've been in the situation. I feel like there's been a lot of time in the last 10 years where if I've gotten really busy playing gigs, other people's gigs or cover gigs where you're just learning new songs all the time. I got to learn 20 songs for this gig out this weekend. It just doesn't create, not only does it not allow space for generating new ideas and musical ideas or concepts, but it literally wires my brain in the other direction of just executing.
Yeah.
And then that is like pushing against this like just this idea of like creating some space for something new to like come in. So I have become very increasingly protective. I'm not doing a great job, but
no, it's hard.
But I the idea is there of like, how do I like keep this precious little bubble of just enough space to have new ideas? And I'll let you know when I figure it out.
I live and die by my to-do lists, and I try and make like a weekly to-do list for the shop, but also there's always honey-do lists around the house and things like that. But I've learned, it's a work in progress, but I've learned to try and make it as manageable as possible, so that either I get through it all and I have a little bit of bonus time at the end of the week where I'm like, cool, I did everything I said I needed to do. I can choose to either like get ahead for next week, or just like, this is the time where I get to just like, grab a chunk of wood and do something. Yeah. It doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes the list spills into the next week, but I've been trying to like give myself manageable chunks too, and build in some, hopefully some fun time. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and just to go back to what you're saying earlier, I won't see you again before you have your baby. So congratulations.
Thank you
in advance.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm really excited for you guys.
Speaking about having free time, like I won't have much of that for a little while.
Definitely changes your whole idea of what free time is.
There's going to be a pack and play somewhere over here. Obviously not when I'm doing crazy, loud, dusty stuff, but if I'm just like setting up a bass. Yeah. She'll be in here with me.
I feel like before I had kids, I used to count my free time in hours, and now I count it in minutes. Yeah. That's one of the ways I think about it. Yeah. But it is so exciting. Yeah. And I'm excited for you guys. Yeah. So I had another thought about a question that I've had about the basses. This is a question I've had about your basses for a while, and you were just talking about it earlier when you were talking about 5-string basses, that they were kind of new. You were resistant to building a 5-string bass. Not only have you built 5-string basses, but somehow you have managed to build short-scale 5-string basses with really, really great sounding B strings, which is the conventional wisdom, and I think it's changing recently, but for years it was like, has to be long scale, the longer the better. 35, 36-inch scale B strings are inherently going to perform better than 34. Yeah. And you're building like 32s that are killing.
There's definitely, at the end of the day, like some science to just like the longer the string, the better the fundamental and that kind of thing. Kind of backing up to when it was all new to me, it was swirling around in a couple different directions. I mentioned Drew Felder. Tim LaFave had kind of been talking about it. I had a little, like a very brief sort of phone relationship with Mr. Clunan of Callow Hill Basses before, right before he passed away. Sure. Yeah. I never got to meet him in person, but he was really successful at the short scale, extended range instruments. And so, it wasn't necessarily like I was getting all the secrets from him, but we had definitely talked about a few different things. And a lot of the guys who owned his basses then kind of like came over and were like, these things were awesome. Like, you got to kind of like pick up where he left off. So it was like, okay, I'm going to try and figure this out. Yeah. And so started doing 30.5-inch scale and 32-inch scale. Started with the Midwestern 2. It's a set neck instrument, so that's right away kind of its own sort of impact on the sound. And then it was really just like pickups and pickup placement and kind of figuring that out at that scale length. That's a very personal thing, and I still have a couple different options, but kind of dialing those in so that like the pickups speak as well as they can at that low register. Yeah, I've since kind of started phasing out the 30.5-inch. I don't think it's necessarily like lesser than the 32, but just where I'm at, I'm trying to simplify options. More options confuse people, and it's also more difficult for me to just have like more things to kind of like, more CNC files, more whatever, like just different pick guards and things to have to kind of like keep in rotation. So my personal preference is that 32-inch scale is the sweet spot that gives you a tight enough low B, but you still get like a super even response all the way up the fingerboard into the highest registers. It still has that like sort of, still feels like a short scale. It's not like, So I've settled in on that. One of the big secrets is just getting a steeper headstock angle, just a slightly more more break angle over the nut
Uh-huh.
really helps with the tension.
Mm-hmm.
That's a simple one. Figured that out kind of early on. And then picking the right wood. The Midwestern 2 is typically a mahogany body and neck, African mahogany, which is usually a lighter weight wood. But for the 5 strings, I try and add a little more weight to them.
Mm-hmm.
More weight, more low end fundamental.
Mm-hmm.
So there's sort of a balance there. Like you don't want those to be too light because then they can get a little kind of woofy and mushy.
Yeah.
So
Do you have any like non-negotiables on the 5-string basses that you've just found that like it kind of has to be this way or not that way for it to work?
not necessarily, no. And I've done some bolt-ons too. We've actually made quite a few 5-string Armitage and Lincoln basses throughout the years, and I really like the bolt neck as well. It gives you a little more like punch and articulation. But no, otherwise not really. Other than just like shying away from the ultra short scale. I'll still do it, but it's like I think the 32 is worth it. And it's not that big of a difference,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's remarkable like how growly and punchy and full your B strings sound for the scale length that they are.
Yeah.
I was just remembering you and I were hanging out with Kevin Scott last week when he was coming through town, and
That was awesome.
it was really fun and just such a cool guy, a cool guy to hang out with.
Yeah.
And I was telling him, Anthony Jackson had just died.
Right.
We were all kind of just like a little bit overwhelmed with that. And I was saying to Kevin, I was like, man, one of the things that made me such a fan of your stuff, got it on your radar, was there was this old like crunchy video of him playing that white Serek 5-string
the cannoli
Midwestern,
bass.
the cannoli bass.
Yeah.
And he was playing What You Gonna Do For Me. And of course, Kevin's playing was insane.
Yeah.
And the low string, I was like, what is happening? I could tell it was a short scale. And I was like, dude, that is like remarkable.
And he hits hard with the right hand too, so it's impressive. That I was surprised that he loves that bass, and I'm surprised in the fact that it's not like too loose for him, but because he really digs in, but it like works for him, and I'm sure he keeps the action a little bit higher and everything like that. But yeah, it's pretty crazy.
There's a thing I've been thinking about lately. It's a non sequitur, and I'll tell you the stories later. But these stories about a couple stories about these players who I've had these moments of like watching them and realizing like how much of their sound is, it's derived from their fingers and the way they play, but actually how much of it comes from just their sense and concept of what they want to do is so clear that it pushes out through anything. Yeah. Any bass, any rig, whatever. It's just like their concept is so well formed in their cells of their body that it just like comes out no matter what.
Yeah, that is kind of a crazy like lizard brain thing where it's like no matter what I'm playing, I can like my brain can tell my hands to make this thing sound like how I want it to. It's
pretty cool.
Yeah, it's talent for sure.
And Kevin's one of those dudes. Yeah,
absolutely.
So one of the things I wanted to ask you is there something? Are there things that you find like this theme of maybe customers not understanding or misunderstanding about your basses?
Early on, when I was just getting started out, I was kind of like more open to being like a custom shop.
Yeah.
Where like we talked about the feedback loop already, but I was like really like, you're like hungry. You just want to like get some sales and like get your foot in the door. So I was way more willing to let the customer dictate what they wanted the bass to be.
Yeah.
And oftentimes I would run into the situation where the final product was not really something that I wanted to like represent what I was doing.
I get that for sure.
Not gonna like name any names or anything, but they're like a 5-string with a whammy bar and weird color schemes and just things that I was like, I wouldn't want to play this. So why do I want without being a control freak, like I want to like shape the vision a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
And so it's going to be 10 years next year that Serek Basses has been like an official entity. And all throughout that time, I've slowly just been like whittling options away. And I'm not trying to like take things away from people. And I'm also not necessarily trying to say like, I know exactly what's best.
Yeah.
But like I've figured out my ideal, set of specs for the instruments that I build. So like in that way, I guess I'm I'm putting more guardrails up so people can't get it wrong.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But there's still like,
that.
there's still plenty of people who are just like, you know, man, I really respect what you do, but like, I really just like, this is the sound. I want this pickup. Can we try, you know, can we do it? And I'm like, you know, when someone really knows, then it's like, absolutely. But if they're like, I think I want this and that, it's like, let me like, you know, then I'll muscle my way in a little bit more.
Yep. I get that.
And use my sort of experience to help.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that's a thing I've seen too with builders over the years that are like these, like, you know, like custom shop and the sky's the limit, where someone will call and they're like, I want an ebony neck and a maple body and I want a, you know, whatever fingerboard. And it's like, this thing ends up out there because it's what the customer wanted. Then they don't really like it because a lot of people don't know what they like, or they don't really know what works. And then this thing exists in the world. Right. Someone who doesn't know about your basses comes across it and goes, I played a Serek. It was weird.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I don't think there are too many of those out there, hopefully, but that's definitely happened too. And I've had some situations where there's been so much back and forth about every little detail, and then a week into the customer having the bass, they're like, yeah, this isn't working for me. And it's like, I tried to tell you, and you know, that's kind of on me for not holding my ground a little bit more. But
I really appreciate when luthiers kind of narrow down what they offer to a range of options that they're confident are going to work. I think that's totally not only reasonable, but also like it's smart from every perspective. And again, you're going to get these guys who are like, I know I like this, this, and this. And then maybe you're like, all right, I'll build you that. But if it's just guys that are kind of like not sure, and maybe they like the aesthetics of these particular things, but it's like not really going to result in an instrument that they're going to be happy with ultimately. It's like building something that, you know, they're going to go like, oh, it didn't really do what I wanted it to do. And then you're going, I kind of saw that train coming down the tracks. So I think there's something to be said for kind of keeping it in this range of like this successful bracket where you feel confident that like anything within this bracket is going to reasonably produce a great instrument.
I think the small bass builder community is unique in that there's not that many of us, but there's also like not a lot of overlap or competition in like in a healthy way. Like one of my like strongest competitors would be Wilcox basses, right? Viv, and like
in England,
in the UK, short scale. We have a lot of like the same artists and everything, but his basses are different enough where you could own one of each of ours, and it's, you know, it'd be totally different things. And I don't know if, you know, he and I are friends. We talk all the time, so it's like there isn't necessarily like a, hey, you do this, I'm going to do this, or like, stay away. But like part of those guardrails is like carving out your own little niche. Like here's me, you figure out you know, and of course there's always going to be some bleed and overlap, but that's, you know, I also have to give a nod to my friend Shelby in Chicago, Black Bobbin Guitars. He said just recently, he was saying like, we're in the golden age of like small guitar manufacturing. And I have to agree, like we have so many awesome like components at our disposal, hardware and pickups and just all the, you know, and I really think like no major shade on the Fenders and Gibsons and like the, you know, sort of like the pillars of what, you know, what this, how we got here, but we're kind of like coming back around to like that kind of stuff starting again, like fresh new companies coming up with new designs and ideas, and there's a lot of really great choices. And so like going back to my like shop local tip, it's like you don't need to just go buy something off the Guitar Center wall. Like there's plenty of really cool custom guitar and bass builders that you could get involved in and still not like totally empty your wallet out. So
that's cool. I hadn't really thought about it as this moment in time being like this really blossoming era for small guitar companies. But it's true for the reasons you said, where there's all these components available and all these, and also now fabrication, there's like 3D printing. So if you have custom parts, you don't have, like that becomes, the barrier becomes a lot lower to making some of the specific things that you want that are different than what's available. And now marketing is, you know, for better or worse, social media has created an environment where you can get your stuff out there in front of a lot of people in a way that when it was just like, yeah, I got to buy an expensive ad in Bass Player magazine, and that's a high barrier to entry to get your stuff out there. So it is kind of a cool time. Yeah.
We're still in it. It's healthy. I hope. I hope it stays that way.
I hope so. I hope so.
Like we were hanging out at NAMM this last go around, and then I noticed there's a lot more like little satellite shows popping up all around NAMM as well, where they're more like boutique builder based, which is it's cool to see. It's like there's sort of like a divergence from NAMM in a way. It's like, why give them the money? It's just like this big, puppy mill of just like random stuff, but it's still the place to be. Like, you want to be near it because everyone's still going to like gravitate towards that. But Curtis Novak and Carlos from Castados Guitars teamed up and did a show called Woodwire and Volts.
Yeah.
And it was all sort of people of my size company, like smaller builders and stuff. And it was just really cool to see how many came out for that, and like how sort of the excitement around that level of guitar building.
Totally. That's cool.
Yeah.
So shifting gears a little bit, I'm out here doing the shop tour for Trickfish.
Yeah.
I help them out with marketing, social media. And so I know you've been involved with Trickfish. You've had a relationship with them for a while. Can you talk a little bit about how you first got involved with Trickfish?
Justin Huth came to Summer NAMM in Nashville in like 2000. What year would that have been? I don't know, like mid 20, like teens, something like that, 16, 17, 18. And like, I call him, I don't know if I've ever actually told him to his face, but I think of him as Bass Jesus. He's just got that long flowing
Bass Jesus.
Very like kind glow in his face. He's just like a, very warm, soft-spoken, but like warm, inviting guy. And he like came by my booth and was just like, man, this is really cool. Like, I'm going to like circle around, but I'm coming back to talk to you. And then he came back and he had like Justin Melville Johnson with him. I was like, hey, meet Justin. And then he like came back with Daryl from Dunlop. Like, he just like kept bringing people to my booth. And I was like, okay, so this guy's clearly like a connector. He knows a lot of people in the industry, but I'm like, why is he being so nice to me?
Yeah, what does he want?
But he was just like, man, I just really like, this is cool to see. I really like what you're doing. And I just like, like connecting like-minded individuals. So like right away, he became sort of this like hub for me in the bass industry. Yeah. But also like sort of a mentor. Like, we started talking, on the phone a few times a month, and he was just like, we would spitball about the business, and he did all of my still does all of my web design. He built the configurator on the website. So he's just like always been this like sort of driving force in the background. Yeah. And I've always thought of him as sort of like a part of the Serek Basses team in that way.
And when you met him at NAMM, he was already with Trickfish?
So I'm not clear on that. Yeah. I think he was either like, did he switch right from?
I don't know the timeline. Yeah. He was with Aguilar for a while.
I don't think he was with Aguilar at that point, but he might have been like floating around right in between the two. So I then I think it was before, because I became aware of Trickfish like later on, because then we shared a booth together at the Winter NAMM like a couple years later or something like that. So he might have just been getting involved. But anyway, so then of course Trickfish comes into the picture. And at first it was just kind of like on the amp and cab side of things. We shared the booth, so I got to know the rigs really well, and him and Ryan sent me a couple of cabs and heads for my shop to have as tester rigs, but also like just get more ears on it as players are coming through my shop in Chicago.
I'll see a couple of rigs.
Yeah, so I still have the 212
and the 1K.
The 1K is like the go-to. That's like I have my old Ampeg 810 and this acoustic 320 that I love the shit out of. Yeah. That's like my old school. Like, I know how like something a little more crusty and like mid-range forward is going to sound. Sure. But when I want to like hear the bass without any other coloration, that the Trickfish rig is like perfect for just like
the reference rig.
Yeah. And not to say that like it's an overly like hi-fi, like the Trickfish stuff still has its own sound, but not in such a way where like it's completely changing the character of the instrument. So like I trust it that I know when I plug in an instrument that I've just set up, like the Trickfish rig is going to let me know what if I need to make some adjustments.
Yeah, like it's honest.
You know? Yeah, honest. That's a great word for it. They're honest. So that's just always been, you know, a good thing to fall back on. And then once they started doing the IPA preamp, I've never been an active guy. I've owned a few active basses, but I've just never gotten along with them. Part of it for me was always how they interacted with effect pedals. Like I just didn't like how the extra drive, like I needed, I don't know, just whatever. Not it's never been my thing, but I was getting more requests for some preamps specifically in like the 5 strings I was building. And I think we were talking about sort of like another way, how do you get the short scale 5-string bass to really come alive, and the preamp goes a long way there too, if you just need that little bit of extra boost. And so the IPA is like the preamp you want to use, again, like the rig, if you don't want it to like overtake the personality of the instrument, you just need to like take what's already there and add or subtract a little bit more of it. And from the moment he sent me that first IPA and I threw it in a bass, I was like, yeah, this is exactly, like, if I wanted to use a preamp in my instrument, this would be it. You can't really make it sound, like, you can't go so extreme with it that it's, like, either too harsh on the treble or you're blowing up speakers on the bass. Like, you can, it's pretty, not tame, but, like, you know, it's manageable.
And it also still allows you to have these like interesting passive schemes in front of it.
Exactly.
So you're like feeding whatever the passive wiring is into the IPA. Instead of it being this whole like ecosystem where the pickup leads go into it and everything exists in this electronic system, and then there's an output. But I was sort of curious in general, like, you know, your instruments have such an ethos around this like passive. I don't like the word vintage because it has a specific connotation, but there's a simplicity and there's a very like elemental thing that you have with just the way the pickups, you know, feed the output of the instrument. And I'm curious how you've sort of talked a little bit about it already, but how the IPA fits into that.
So like that goes back to just, I think, my personality as a bass player. When I was still out there playing in bands and like touring and all of that, my brain just wanted as little tweakability as possible. Like I've always been like, get the settings on the amp kind of guy. And then set, like, the instrument side of things is more about the setup, how close the pickups are to the strings and action and all that. Like just getting the setup right so the instrument sounds great right into whatever you're playing. I've never needed or wanted that extra, like, because I think I'm like a little OCD where I'd be like in the middle of a song like bumping and twisting things, and I'm like, I don't need that distraction.
It's terrible.
So for me that was always like, I'm just staying away from preamps because I know I'll just be thinking about it all the time, and I'll be tweaking way too much. So it's really not like I hate preamps. It was just like I need to do this for mental health while I'm performing. But going back to like the IPA, like that's one that I do feel more confident setting and forgetting. And even just like, I always put an active passive push pull usually on the volume, and like there's not a ton of difference. Like there's a pretty good unity gain with them, but it's to the point where like even just keeping them flat, there's just like that little bit of extra sauce to it. Where you don't really need to do a whole lot. And then it becomes like, okay, well, I'm about to play this song where I'm going to be like up the neck a little bit. I want to like get a little W, so I'm just going to like, you know, a little bit extra bass or whatever it is. Like you can just make those minute tweaks as you need without having to walk back or use like a boost pedal or EQ pedal or something like that. So like, and that's, I think a lot of the guys that order basses from me with preamps are in that sort of like, they're performing a lot on stage and they just need quick control on the instrument and want to kind of just like set and forget the amp. So
that makes sense. Well, and I know that like I don't know how many basses you build with preamps. I know most of them are passive. The one that comes to mind is like the Mike Gordon bass. Like you're building basses for Mike Gordon of Fish, which is amazing. And
if you want to talk about a tweaker, that guy likes to tweak. So we've gone through a couple different iterations. We actually started, the first few that I built for him were passive. Because at the time, he actually had an iPad next to him on stage, and he was controlling his EQ curve
Oh,
out to front of house,
wild.
which is bold on all, on all sides. Like,
Yeah.
but he, like, that's where he was at. So he was just like, passive is all good. But then that, the iPad kind of went away, and they've been moving a lot more to all ears. I don't even
Right.
think he has speakers on stage
I
for the
saw
last couple tours.
Yeah, I saw that.
So having more control on the instrument became more important.
Mm-hmm.
And so we we went more all out with that, where it's got the bass, treble, mid, selectable mid range kind of like. So there's a lot more.
So he does have the 3-band on the instrument.
3-band, yeah. So I actually don't think we put selectable mid range like on a pot. It's got like the
Right.
switches on the back and everything, but he's got like a stack bass, stack treble mid on there.
Okay.
Right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been enough. But he also like is the kind of guy that finds it's almost more on the front end of the gig. It's like, we're gonna tune this to the room we're playing in, and then once we find it, it's gonna kind of just stay that way for the next 3 nights.
Got it. It's been cool to see him.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a big Fish fan like a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the late 90s.
Yeah.
And I just always think of him as just like this modulus guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that was his thing for so long. And this is such a polar shift to the Serek stuff, but it still sounds like him. And again, it's another one of these guys where like his concept of sound is so clear to him that it comes through whatever he's playing, and you can really hear the difference in the instrument.
It's definitely a totally different sound, and I think I've had many a night sweat about this. Like, like if you're talking about imposter syndrome and stuff, like what more to trigger that than like somebody in a gargantuan band who is switching from a bass that everybody knows he's played for the last several decades to like this new thing.
Yep.
And these are fans who pay attention to the gear and are very like picking apart mixes night by night.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh shit, like
very, very involved in his sound. And
and I think the only reason I've been able to survive that with my head on straight is that I've not historically been a Fish fan. Not been like anti-Fish. I just never. I guess like age wise, I've just been like kind of in a weird. But it was never my thing. So like I didn't have too much of like a preconceived notion of his sound and the history and everything, where we could just start with a blank slate.
That's nice.
He kind of gave me the feeling that's what he was looking for too. It's just like, we're not trying to make the next modulus bass. We're trying to get away from that and figure out the next like phase. And luckily, like Trey was very complimentary of the tone, and which is it's great when the rest of the band is like.
It is nice
when it's great when the rest of the band just notices the bass tone in general at all. Much less like
one of the best indicators of a good sound, whether it's a bass or a rig, is when someone who's not a bass player, like the drummer, goes, "Dude, that rig sounds great."
Yeah,
and you're like, "Oh, okay, that's good."
Yeah,
because first of all, they don't really care.
Yeah.
Second of all, their ears are not listening for it.
No.
It really has to like catch somebody when they go, "Man."
Yeah.
It is nice when someone who's not the guy goes, "Man, that sounds really good."
Yeah, yeah.
Point being, like when I hear Mike play,
yeah,
I watch these videos on his Instagram of him playing on your bass, and it's cool that he loves it so much.
I have to give a lot of credit to the IPA again, because, like I said, I think we built 3 up front that were all passive, and each time it was kind of like, we approached it fairly scientifically, where we started with a bolt-on, we did a 5-string Lincoln, and we actually did, it was a 32-inch scale, 5-string Lincoln, and a 32-inch scale set neck Midwestern 2, both passive, Nordstrand Zen blades. And right away he figured out more of a set neck guy. So let's build another one of these, let's change a couple of things. Then it was like, okay, I think I'm just got to stick with the 34-inch scale. He picks really hard. Yeah. And with the slapping and everything, so he needed the extra tension. So we stretched it back out. So then it became sort of like the set neck Armitage 5-string. And then it was like, okay, I got to go back to active. In comes the IPA. And since we've put the IPA in, nothing. Like now it's just been, I need a backup. It hasn't been, let's make changes. It's been, this is it. Let's make another one.
Make another one, yeah.
And that's, so now I know, like, and of course, next year he could have a different idea or something. But for it's been probably close to 2 years now that's been
The base.
That's satiated him. So
it's so cool.
Yeah, IPA did the trick.
Can you show me any basses that are coming out of the shop right now? Do you have anything that's popping up?
Just finished up this little Fiesta Red Armitage bass. It's 34-inch scale, Indian rosewood. Got it strung up with flats and a Curtis Novak BS in there. I was joking around with you. It's kind of like the Pinot Palladino Serek bass.
Love it.
But yeah, just classic. This is a good one. This will be up on the website soon. But really, like the last year or so has just been about keeping up with the customer orders. Like I have a pretty healthy lead time, and so just keeping up with that. And
totally.
Yeah, but get some creative juices flowing into 2026 for sure.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
And now you get to show me the neck that you're working on.
Yeah, I was gonna say before you go, we have to let's walk down and take a look at
get some hands on
your
it.
bass. Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
So your body is not like sanded to a very high grit right now, so don't. It's gonna look.
Don't freak out, man. Don't freak out.
I really like this piece of koa.
Dude, that's so
Got the
sexy.
Nice veneer line in there, accent line. So this is just like 120 grit right now. So by the time usually this is going to have an oil finish, right? So by the time I'm ready to put some oil on here, we'll get this up to like 400 to 600 at least.
Yeah.
And you'll really start to see, you can kind of see a little bit of like the depth and chatoyance or whatever that word is, but...
What is that word?
Chatoyance?
Chatoyance.
It's like wood iridescence.
Okay.
You know, like there's like almost like a reflective quality to like quilted
I
wood.
totally know the thing. I just didn't. I've never heard the word, but it's
fact check me on that. I'm pretty sure it's chatoyancy or something like that.
sounds like a city in like Minnesota.
Yeah. It does. So this will have you can kind of see like right here where the bridge is going to be, but like I can see where there's some other areas that there's going to be some nice little ripple going on. So dude, that's going to look really nice. Cool. And the true oil, just like really makes that kind of glow. Mahogany body, we got it set up for your IPA battery. We'll have another control here in the pick guard. And then the neck over here still needs a little bit of love, but we got some nice straight grain roasted maple.
So pretty.
Ebony board that you picked out last time you were here. And then the plan was, let's see, nice tight fit.
That was a tight fit.
Be able to pick it up and shake it a little bit.
Dude,
that's what you want.
For real.
So that's good. And then we kind of went back and forth on the headstock, and I was having a hard time finding a nice piece of koa to do that justice. You said that you were into the roasted look.
I like when the roasted look kind of comes through the front.
And so I saved this is left over from the body, and so I'll find a nice chunk to make like
for the nameplate or whatever. That'll look cool.
Yeah, and that'll just kind of tie the two worlds together.
Oh, it's gonna be so awesome, dude! I can't wait.
Yeah. So looking forward to that. Just got to get you to get some hands on the neck profile.
Hell yeah, dude!
That'd be great.
That thing is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, man, I really appreciate you making some time to sit down and chat and talk about all these cool things that's going on here. It's really fun to come visit you, and man, I'm just glad to know you.
Yeah.
I'm glad to get to come and hang out with you.
Likewise.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.